Revealing the hidden formats in Genesis. This will be part 9. And I left off, well, I guess I'm trying to explain that these hidden formats are the first writer's words when they wrote them. And these groupings are known as a psalm. And what you'll see as I continue here, how much of a story actually can be made from the text that I'm revealing as hidden formats. And this is me trying to explain some of the words that I used or why I didn't use words like the word dream. I used the word vision because this is a vision. So let's see here. And these here, he's talking to what they are, so I don't need them here, but I need the word mine did this. Israel, yours bowed to mine. And I just wanted to be more descriptive in the text, so that's why I used the word mine, and I guess that should be yellow saying I'm adding that word. Herd to herds, I guess that's, okay. And here's where text doesn't belong or does not need to be used, and yet the story will keep continuing like he didn't need any of this anyway. So when you're talking or you're thinking that I'm just trying to make up verses, you'll see that, well, how can that happen? How can I do that? Well, I'm just saying that this is what happens when you actually try doing any of the first 9 Psalms. You'll find different formats, and this format seems to be the most basic one as I go through, even though I showed earlier there's a 4-verse grouping for these to be really are a small paragraph. And then later when you see the text, you'll notice that 2 of them sometimes or a lot of times will go together to make a larger paragraph before the subject changes. So if you're trying to say you don't understand what the format is or what I'm trying to do here, you're now aware of what's going on. This text means that I'm adding this whole verse here, and then it's just needed to complete the format. Because I like to keep them grouped as a format. Some of these, since you try to grab another one down here to go up here, it won't go. It just reads odd. But when you read them and see them how they are grouped, that's unique. And I do have to add a word, and that's these yellows are what I'm saying I added, just to make the format. Because if I tried not to use them, I couldn't combine the 3 verses or 4 verses into 3 verses. So I kind of split them up a little bit to create the verses to make a 3-verse format. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I've already discussed this. This is wrong. And it's a coat that he had, that he made for him. And they saw a caravan. Now, this is a very English word, British word, or maybe even European. But I don't have any other word at the time that they would have used it. So I've always kept the word caravan just to say that, hey, when I'm trying to keep the text down to where a 12-year-old can read it, they're going to have to go to their parents and ask them probably what that word is. But they should be able to guess it if they're reading enough of this. Coming from the north, and that's the direction they would have had to be coming if they're going to go into Egypt. So that word is correctly added. And way to sell their goods. The travelers will usually take goods to sell, and then when they go home, they're returning with goods. So they sell, and then when they come back, then they're more or less known as a trader of merchandise. Let's not kill him by our hands. Let's not lay our hands on. Well, the story is that they talked about trying to kill him. So this would just be wrong if I didn't put the word kill here. Pulled to reach, up, down. This is completely the opposite, but they reached down to lift him out from the pit. And they're going to sell him to sellers. I might change this word to traders, but notice here they're Ishmaelites, which how can that be? I mean, Ishmael is just now having a daughter, and then do they all go with Edom when they go down there? I don't know, but all of a sudden there's all these Ishmaelites all of a sudden, but that's just wrong. In fact, I think the text a little bit later is going to even change from this to something else. So shekels, I got rid of that word because that's a pressed piece of metal at this time. They were not doing that for 2 tens of silver. I'm using their text, 220s. I just break it down to the way Hebrew would have it. Hebrews would write it. And it does show up in the text. I'll have to make a special video of showing all the numbers and how they do that. So, but here I've changed the name one brother to the other brother, and I'm thinking I'm still going to end up changing these names around. But I know that that's what I wrote above, so I changed it down here. Other brothers. They slaughtered, they killed. Not to see it, but if to know it. The word know is more correct, because if they knew it was, they wouldn't have to be saying, please examine. So it's to know it from him if that is the coat that he made. So it is Joseph or Joseph's or not. Your son, so well, he's your brother, so they'd know his name. So I put name here. Examine it is Joseph's. Devoured, more or less killed him. Well, anyways, there are animals that will kill and devour, but the object here is to kill him. He doesn't. This is just over and above. As long as he's dead, he's dead. Doesn't matter what the animal did to him, except for that he killed him. To old hides, and then mourn. These sackcloth is the way I have that word there, and actually, it when you let's see, 30. What I'm gonna go looking for the word here. So 34 sackcloth. See, they're saying sacks, and that is not true. They wouldn't go and put on that type of old clothing. It would be their older clothing that they put on. So this would be more correct in trying to be encrypting their words into the text. If you haven't been here, down in the description box below, I have the 1611 preface, and shows you how corrupt that they even tell you that they don't believe a creator exists. So you should study that 1611 preface. That's actually the translator's words. and how they call Gregory is divine. It's amazing people don't study the text or even know about the 1611 preface. It's what they told. That's what they kind of wrote to say why we translate it into English text. And this, let's see. Yeah, these stories of everybody having children from whores or whatever. No. Anyways, Joseph was successful in house. I have to have it as goods servant, like over his goods. And then later, not that he promised or prospered, but he gained more by his wisdom. You have to understand how this master, and I'm using the word master because Joseph is a slave at this time. He just cannot leave. He is under his command. So I'm using what a foreigner would describe, that YV, his God, is with them, that they would be speaking about their gods. They know that he's Hebrew and he don't believe the way they believe. So he would know. Maybe I shouldn't have this bold, but anyways, that's why the word God is here, or this title is here, and I didn't go through and change it. 39:3. I'm just interested in 3. Here it's YV. Yeah, it was YV, so I guess I should. I'm just trying to see, make sure Lord is with him and cause. Okay, I got it down here. Whoops, okay, let me show you what I'm doing. I was going to say, but I'm actually going to say I'm adding this text here, yes, because I have it posted to here. I just showed you. So I am adding this title, and that is how the Egyptians would use the word God. And you'll find that in the Hebrew text, the Hebrews don't have a concept of a God. They know who our Creator is. So that is not one of his titles. But he gained more. And all these are going to be built up because now he again found favor in his personal good servant, which would be here, good servant. He becomes something else. He becomes the overseer of everything that he owned or owned, and he put him in charge. So he's more or less now an overseer of the whole, like the head. I guess the head guy is the way you'd say overseer. He would have others under his command now. And he did not worry himself, concern himself. Well, I made it the word worried. But the same thing is too close to change there, not to be in yellow. Anything except the foods he ate. And that would be, I think this is going to change later because anything but the foods, that's what a king does. So that's going to be a heads up that I'll probably end up changing that, add the text in here. My master wanted Joseph and said to him, marry with me. And your husband does not worry about me, your master. It's not that my master, it's your husband. putting it in the first person words, it just doesn't read right, as if you would say that. Um, and it's our Creator's will. It's just not a matter of me keeping the title, but he is using the word uh, God's will. He knows our Creator tells them one male, one female. So they knew this and they lived by that. So putting the word here, our Creator's will, this is like one great big word. I just couldn't put it as one word. I guess if I put a hyphen there, but it reads better if you just understand that it says will, and that makes this the third word in here because you can't understand the text without the word will. Okay. So it is definitely needed. Not just listen, but to obey. And his garment, don't know how he was being dressed in Egypt, but the thing here is I'm just saying he left his top there. She grabbed his top and that came off. Um, so, and this top is more or less like a vest, or you'd see without buttons, or maybe a button, but the object is it's not a full shirt. Um, and needed to add the word this, meaning the summation of what the text story is above. And he was put, or prisoners were put. This jail, okay, this jail is the king's jail for prisoners, okay? And Joseph was jailed in this jail. So when it comes to who was he, this guy that Joseph was sold to, that's why I had him a captain who would have been very important to the king. And I would say that we need to have him in the king's prisoners jail because who he's going to meet later. And we're going to get to that story of the cup taster and the baker. But the object here is maybe it's a little bit out of your sight there, down here. But anyways, needed him as a captain and not just a chief, but a captain in the eyes of the captain, not the head jailer. The maybe I changed the word captain to jailer. I went back to it. I'm thinking I did, but I'll have to check on that because I think I was just saying who he was a slave to and why he could be put into this prison, what the king had special for his um, prison. And so I'm thinking I'm going to be using the word jailer and not just the word captain and change all of them. Now, the cupbearer, that doesn't mean much. That means he was just bearing the water and or the drink, and then there, the king needed somebody to taste it so they didn't poison him. So he would have been the wine taster, okay, or the drink taster. But I'm leaving the word cup taster in there. Maybe this part will get changed as to the drink taster. And when you stop and think about it, sometimes poison is a little bit slow. So he would have had what he had, and he took a sample of it, and he's still living when the king's there, and then he pours what he has there, that he's proven that it's not poisoned, and confine them, or they put him in jail. And the captain, okay, here's where the word I got, captain, that I used above, of his jail. So I'm I'm just mentioning things that, trying to remember what I did. Sometimes what I did maybe in these videos is the next video, but there's days to a week sometimes in between these. So they needed an explanation, not interpretation, but they need to be explained. Each is both, and each, I just changed the word each to both. I don't think that's too difficult or not that far enough away. And then what they were about, and that's just adding text. It's almost like a double of what this is, but I couldn't think of any other better words. But that they were sad and unhappy. Behold, that they were sad. And I had to add the word sad because just dejected didn't meet the format. So, and the two of them, because the officials, they aren't really officials. That's the wrong word to be used. They were his personal servants, the two of them. And they both had a dream, and no one explained our dreams. No one to, that word doesn't need to be there. But since I added it, I should be removing it. To explain, it looks like I forgot the you here, our dreams. And I later switched these words around. Like I said before, this is the first time in this video for you to understand that after I read the text, I come back and maybe there will be an example of what I did when I don't do that. This should be like this. I'm going to use that word. These italics, these are added words from the New American Standard Text. When they're writing to keep their copyrights, they keep adding words. And then gave it to the king. Interpretation means, so the thing here is too close for me not to say that it's yellow. And to restore, no, he's going to forgive him to bring him back to be the one who is the cup taster. Mention and tell him of him, so that mention and tell is the same, I believe, or pretty close to it. When he saw, he heard, I guess that's a big change, but they're just using the wrong word a lot. When the baker saw, he was favorable. Well, when he heard it, he heard not that he saw this. You got to hear what he said. He was favorable. He said to Joseph, "This is mine, and tell me about mine." And here, furthermore, the king will hang him. So lift your head up from you and hang. One is to cut it off and then hang. No. No, and hang you in the tree. The rest of your body they're going to eat, but no. Came to happen. I could have left that green, I think, but and I explained why forgave is the word above. I hope I did. I can't even remember what I said 2 minutes ago right now. because I'm actually reading the text and trying to see where the text is so I can tell you why I'm changing the words. Like the word ugly to sickly, and it was gaunt, which is thickness. So the thing here was sickly to be thinness. Um, because these are going to be a famine, years of, or not a famine, but a drought, you would be sickly and then you would be from thinness. But until you knew it was going to be a drought, you wouldn't know that. But it has to be not that they were ugly, but they were sickly from the thinness. And fattened, this means that they were pen kept or fenced in and they ate there, but but they become a fattened, they become extra large, that are one that would range around. So that's why I'm using the word fattened. They're changing it to be fattened. Wheat stalks, not grain, because grain and the wheat is the same thing. So they have ears of grain, and it's actually wheat stalks that came up on a single. Okay. Um, that is just weird to read that word in there, those words in there. From the Nile. I had to bring up the Nile because the whole story is about being by the Nile. And saw the seven stalks, and they were dried up, not scorched, but dried up. They were stalks. And then in the morning, he was troubled, his mind, not his spirit, his mind. Um, I'm just trying to get proper meanings to proper understanding of the text. I don't want to get people going crazy over the word spirit, but I wanted to make sure that it's the mind. His mind was troubled because he kept thinking about him. And not all, you can't go get everyone in Egypt. So let's be more truthful and say the best diviners. And they weren't magicians. He wants to know the meaning of it. He doesn't need to see him making tricks. But they were diviners. The star readers, like astrologers type of things, but they had many different ways. They could have read bones from bats and moles and stuff like that and then thrown their bones. There's many different ways a diviner tries to make up the story from reading things. So the king tells them their dream and nobody could explain it to them. And that's when the cup taster, uh, he wanted to remind him what happened about my own offense. So I was going to use that word, offenses. And you were mad, not furious, but mad. And you sent your servants. See, here's the words correct: servants, not officials, into your jail. And the baker and I had visions, but a Hebrew youth was there with us, and then he did this. And now I'm capitalizing the word T here because they are coming from our Creator. Should I capitalize all? I think I might even end up doing something like that to the text, meaning that they're from our Creator. Later, I just didn't do it here, but I'm doing it now. Not restore, but he's here, so I am here. I am restored. That would make no sense speaking like that. So he sent him to go get Joseph. This is anymore. That was a note for myself. Visions, added that because he's telling them what he had, for sure. And that's the way he would have told the king. And then he told him, didn't speak to him, but he told him. his vision standing on the Nile, and the 7 bulls. They're not cows, they're bulls. And they were fattened. I'm adding that word because of the text above. It was in there, so brought it down here. And they grazed, and then the 7 other bulls came up, thin and sickly. So here I'm reversing the way I used them above there, but I think I should change that back to keep with the story. So make that note here, and then do that. That's the way it should be. And then the thin and sickly. Okay, got that right. Now after that, I saw. Oh, this is now he's repeating the story. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. I thought he was already telling them, the king, what they meant, what the meanings were. Their wheat wasn't full. That's wheat is at the very end, and it's, I don't know how many grains of wheat are at the top, but they would have been nice and fat or very plump, to show that they were especially, or they were different than normal to have this vision. Had to put the word Nile here because we have to have the same place from where all this came up. And I don't know. And then the stalks, yes, they're not ears, they're stalks. And then he tells them, the diviner, these are who? Not magicians, diviners. As shown, not told, but shown. Our Creator did not speak to this king at here, but it was shown in his vision what was going to take place, and he explains these to him. I needed to have upon your land great. I didn't like the word abundance, again, trying to keep it for 12-year-olds. So there was great growth, and it will come upon your land 7 years of famine. Okay. Then it'll have 7 years of famine. I'm not sure if I changed this word to drought yet. But anyways, it shouldn't be famine. That's what happens to the people. But saying that the crop is going to be bad, that would be drought. Look to seek out a male. I don't think there's much to say there. And he is the overseer, and I'm using that as the way they had it been used over, like he is to be the leader of all this knowledge about the produce from the land, overseer of the land. No, it's of the produce of the food that's going to be over the land. Your army controls the land itself, or would be protector of the land. And his men gathered from their land. So when you read the story, he's assigned men. So that's why I have the word overseer, to oversee the produce. And then later he's given this. I'm sorry, I lost where I was at, but the object here is I'm trying to read ahead of time, of each produce, and I'm seeing that all this should have been gray text. Okay. and then all of it should have been yellow, each produce. So I see that I just updated the text to be more correct to what I'd done, added this verse completely. Using the word storehouses, it says to store the food in your cities. Well, you need a place to store them, and there will be storehouses. And you can see that had to be added a couple places. And guard it. Guard what? Guard the storehouses. So the word it needs to be houses, storehouses. Well, that one snuck up on me. Sorry, I had a sneeze there. To all his advisors, the king has advisors. They aren't his servants. We know the cupbearer and the baker would be servants, but these are advisors that were listening to him because he probably had them there. They were probably the first, like, what do I do? Whatever, then needs advice. So these advisors were there with the king and all his advisors. And then he commanded Joseph to be his overseer. So here, to be his overseer, and why they helped him. So not informed him, but helped him. So this word really isn't added. Not only the throne and the throne, only the king. Only the king will be greater than Joseph. And then he took off his signet ring. His signet ring, if you've ever, what they do for a signet ring is that when they're sealing something, say like an envelope, you don't want it opened up, they'd put wax on it, and then you'd put your ring that's kind of got an engraving, and it's a special engraving that means the king, and then it would be sealed. Nobody's to touch it. So by giving him the signet ring means whatever he says, you better follow. Okay, so it's a law now, and that's on his finger, not his hand, because the signet ring is not something you put on your hand. So, and this would be like an oversalted word. You should recognize when you're reading the Bible now, that that type of thing should just stick out to you now, instead of just saying, well, they got the wrong word, go on. You now can recognize their error, their mistakes are literally being put into the text that you had and now no longer need. I got about 2 minutes to go here, so I'm just kind of looking to see where this is going. And yeah, I think I'm going to stop right here because I want to explain the golden necklace. So we'll get on to the next video.